We're now 3 days until the midterms and what some are calling the biggest referendum on a president in recent memory. President Trump is certainly campaigning like he feels the pressure, holding rallies in states where many midterm races are a toss-up right now. Last hour, he amplified his anti-immigration rhetoric at a rally in Montana, and he is immediately headed to a second stop in Florida tonight. This, as voters across the U.S. have just been swarming the early vote locations. More than 27 million early ballots have been cast as of yesterday evening. That number still going up, already eclipsing early votes for a presidential election in some states, let alone a midterm year. CNN senior White House correspondent Jeff Zeleny is traveling with this president and has more on his closing pitch to voters. Jeff.
Anna, President Trump rallying supporters here in Montana, speaking for more than an hour, going after specifically Democratic Senator Jon Tester. That is why the president is here. It is why he has come to Montana 4 times since July. The race is personal with Senator Tester. He also talked about immigration, repeatedly talking about the caravan at the border, saying it's an urgent crisis.
To sign illegal aliens up for free health care, free welfare, free education. And what do they really want? The right to vote. Because they figure that's the way they stay in office forever. This is the second caravan, which is made up of some very tough young people. Very tough. Criminals in some cases. In many cases. They'll say, do you have proof? Yeah, I have proof. They threw stones in the police's face. They hurt Mexican police. They hurt Mexican military very badly. They broke through. You saw it. It was on television. It was terrible. And so Mexico is trying. They are trying. But we're different. We more than try. We have our military now on the border. And I noticed all that beautiful barbed wire going up today. It was barbed wire used properly can be a beautiful sight.
The applause on the immigration lines, though, not as loud as we've heard in other rallies in other parts of the country. The question here in the final 3 days, will this race turn on national issues like immigration, or will it turn on more local issues like access to health care, access to public lands? President Trump made clear his fight against Jon Tester is a personal one. The question is, though, will Montanans support someone that they have for 12 years? He's running for a 3rd term in the Senate, or will they side with President Trump's candidate, Matt Rosendale? Now, the president leaving Montana will be heading to Florida for a campaign rally in Pensacola tonight. Anna?
Jeff Zeleny, thank you. And joining us now, we head to Florida, where the president is headed, and Republican Congressman Matt Gaetz of Florida State that the president, again, is going to have a rally at later tonight around 7:30 Eastern time. Congressman, even though the president has been on this campaign blitz, he has conceded in the last 24 hours that not everything may go Republicans' way on Tuesday, especially when it comes to the House. Let's listen.
They will try to erase our gains and eradicate our progress. That's what's going to happen. They're going to work hard, and we will be fighting. Oh, it will be ridiculous, frankly. It'll be bad for our country. The Democrats, and it could happen. We're doing very well, and we're doing really well in the Senate, but could happen. And you know what you do? My whole life. You know what I say? Don't worry about it. I'll just figure it out.
Congressman, as a member of the House yourself, what's your reaction?
Well, I'm glad the president is campaigning so hard. He is our party's best messenger, and I can't imagine another time where a president has done more in a midterm election to really get out into the country and drive that message as the protector-in-chief and also the job creator-in-chief. When you look at last month's historic job numbers, we've got the fastest wage growth in a decade, so I think it's a real positive message. Here in Florida, we need the president. We need the president to turn out the nearly 1 million Floridians who voted for him in 2016 but have never never voted in another midterm. Anna, we see a blue wave happening in Florida in terms of turnout and participation with the coalitions that Democrats need to win. Minorities and millennials in particular are turning out well, but there is a corresponding red wave that is just as tall, and the president has been helpful. Right now, we're over 50,000 votes ahead in terms of Republican ballots cast in the Sunshine State, and I think we're up for one of the most exciting midterms in recent memory.
It's going to be a tight race there in Florida, both the governor's race and the Senate race. It looks very, very slim margins right now. The president, you mentioned jobs. The president does have a great economic record he could be running on, but he says it's, quote, not as exciting to talk about that. Instead, he's been making the highly controversial remarks about a caravan coming to invade the country. Why go negative? Why not stay positive?
Well, I think that we have laid out a positive vision of lower taxes, lower regulations, agencies that work with people instead of against them, and the result has been historic improvement in the U.S. economy. Now, that doesn't mean we take our eye off the ball.
But the president himself said the economy isn't as exciting to talk about, and he has focused so much of his message on this immigration divisive message rhetoric that we've been hearing.
I was with the president on Air Force One just days ago. He was very excited about the economy, but that doesn't mean we take our eye off the ball when it comes to border security. These caravans, this porous border, it does represent a threat to the people in the United States. And if they don't go out and vote for Republicans, the Democratic Party has now embraced abolishing ICE, open borders, and I think that that should scare people. It's okay to tell people that there are bad folks that want to get across our border illegally and that we need to do the things to stop them.
You talk about scaring people. It does seem like that is the intent. But even Shep Smith of Fox News, the president's favorite network, has pushed back on that fear that the president has drummed up over the caravan. Here he is.
There is no invasion. No one's coming to get you. There's nothing at all to worry about. When they did this to us, got us all riled up in April, remember? The result was 14 arrests. We're America. We can handle it.
Is he wrong?
Yeah, I think he is. Shep Smith doesn't get the same intelligence briefings that I do that indicate that there are special interest aliens who at times take advantage of the porous border. We have seen circumstances where Africans, Middle Easterners who we've been paying close attention to as a consequence of some of the training that they've been involved in, they understand and know that one of the easiest ways to get in our country is to cross illegally on that border. And so I do think that that's important for us.
We don't know. We haven't seen the evidence of these people. You talk about your intelligence briefing, so I'll give you that. But, I mean, you guys are talking about an invasion. Do invaders really give you 3 months' notice that they're coming?
Well, I think that depends. When you look at the footage and the images of these people trying to tear down barriers, trying to move through countries, attacks on law enforcement, I don't exactly want them moving into subdivisions in my congressional district.
I got to stop you there, though, because we have had reporters talking with a lot of these people who are coming as part of this caravan. A lot of them, and you know that this is true, are mothers and children and families who are fleeing persecution, are fleeing violence, are fleeing poverty in their home countries. They're not
both can
these
be true,
extremely
Anna.
violent people. There may be some of these violent people among that mix. There may be, but
so you'll concede that it's not mutually exclusive.
That everybody is like
both.
that.
No. I'm not saying everybody is, but I don't have to win the argument that everybody in the caravan is dangerous. I just have to win the argument that somebody in the caravan is dangerous or could be dangerous, because if they are coming here to do harm to Americans, I don't care if it's 1 of them, 10 of them, or 1,000 of them. I don't want to them coming here disrespecting our borders. And if people go vote for Democrats, then we're going to have open borders. There's going to be an attack on ICE, and you're going to really see a change in the country that is unsafe for people. And that's why we're fighting hard to get every Republican out to vote in the next few days.
There was outrage this week over that ad the president tweeted out, blaming Democrats for an undocumented immigrant who had killed a couple of police officers previously in 2014. Critics have called this the most racially charged campaign commercial since the infamous 1988 Willie Horton ad. Republican Senator Jeff Flake tweeting, "This is a sickening ad. Republicans everywhere should denounce it." Do you denounce it?
Absolutely not. And that doesn't blame Democrats for that individual, but it highlights his story. Someone who came here, killed 2 police officers and wish he'd killed more, as proof that there are folks who come here illegally to do harm, that there are people that we've got to be able to stop at the border, that we've got to be able to ensure that we repatriate back into their own countries. Democrats are actually running
multiple
on
times. And
abolishing
did you know
ICE.
the facts are he came back and
back.
stayed during the Bush administration. It wasn't during the Democratic administration.
Nobody's saying that. Yeah, but the Democrats would keep him here. That's the problem.
No, it was Joe Arpaio. It was Joe Arpaio who arrested him, and he was released under
Joe Arpaio.
Joe Arpaio, as you know, is a very big Trump supporter, and vice versa.
Joe Arpaio
He's not a
can't go
Democrat.
drop him back off in Central America. Joe Arpaio doesn't have the constitutional authority to go repatriate that individual. When you look at the Republican plan, Anna, it is to establish barriers in Central and South America, dictate what asylum claims are legitimate, and then if there is asylum that can be appropriately placed in Mexico or the United States, that would be lawful and according to a process, not the total abandonment of borders the Democrats are running on in these midterms. I'm glad the president's running that ad because it shows people what's at stake in this election.